So hello and welcome to today's video. So if you've ever bought a physical Rockstar game before the PS4 era, you'll remember how Rockstar bundled a map with every single one of their games pretty much. Yes, even going as far back as the first Grand Theft Auto, they always bundled in a free map. But for today's video we're going to be paying homage to another overlooked bit of Rockstar's games, and that is the booklets. Now with booklets, when you think of them, they really aren't anything special. Pretty much every single game has them. They serve as a basic how-to kind of thing, understand the controls and the HUD before you play and all that. But quite a few developers took advantage of these and managed to utilise booklets so they served as a way to introduce you into the game and the world too. Some games did both. But when it came to Rockstar games, they pretty much went above and beyond with their approach to this. Unlike many other games, Rockstar ensured their booklets were as immersive as they could humanly get, and to see that we need to look no further than Grand Theft Auto 3. Now the booklets to the GTA games always served as a bit of an entryway into the world the team at DMA and Rockstar had crafted. It is nothing more than pure immersion. Because when you're playing a game or you're watching a show or a film or whatever and you really enjoy it, you often find yourself immersed in that universe. This isn't just a GTA thing, there are hundreds of games out there where you'll see die-hard fans talking about lore and characters and whatnot. So let's go back about 22 years and look at this through the perspective of somebody who was buying GTA 3 for the first time. You might not have known what GTA 3 was. At best you might have played it briefly at a friend's house, but more than likely you heard it from your friends at school or saw gaming magazines talking about how brilliant this new Grand Theft Auto is. You convince your parents to buy it for you, and as you sit in the car waiting to go home you open that case and you see the booklet, and Rockstar start the immersion off here. As soon as you open that case, the very first thing you see is "Welcome to Liberty City." Rockstar made sure that this was attention grabbing as possible. But the massive red text on the right is purposely done to grab your attention. Contents is all it says, with another welcoming message saying that Liberty City is the worst place in America, and again at the very bottom. Even though we haven't even got to the first pages of this booklet, it tells us about GTA 3's setting. It's going to be grim and it's going to be nasty. In a way, it's nothing more than a parody of your tourist pamphlet. Instead of being told how nice Liberty City is, you're told it's a shithole, and it's a dangerous one at that too. Like, look how they describe Portland for example. They flat out say crime is rife in Portland and has a long history of mafia control, but this is being challenged by the triads. A bloody turf war has been underway for months. You wouldn't really be reading anything like that in your pamphlet if you were expecting a trip to Athens, Dublin or Tokyo. It does a great job of telling you how bad Liberty City is, and it constantly reminds you on the bottom of every single page. And it does complement the game's theme very, very well. Because when you first walk the streets of Liberty City, you'll find it is a very depressing place. It's very drab, it's not got much colour to it at all, the entire map feels constantly cold and miserable, which is exactly what they were going for, so hats off to them. Now going through it, they do also keep the same tone on introducing things like missions under the guise of jobs or places of interest like hospitals, ammunitions and bomb shops. You know, just the stuff you would expect to go to when you're going on holiday. Now one of the things that's unique to Grand Theft Auto 3 is the introduction to gangs in the main cast. You don't get these in the preceding games, except Bully, where it does go over the clicks, but you don't get this in San Andreas or Vice City. Here they flat out tell you what the gangs are and where they're located, and what they might be wearing and their logos too, which is a very neat addition and actually reminds me of GTA 2 in a way, where you always had the faction logos on screen. You also get a very quick overview of the main cast via their artwork, which to be fair doesn't exactly look like their in-game counterparts. Now those are the two parts that are exclusive to GTA 3, but one addition in every single GTA booklet is they give a nicely presented complete soundtrack list by the radio station, which for the PS2 era at least is a godsend when you think of it, because it's around the same time iTunes was just making its worldwide debut, and we didn't have the luxury of firing up Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you use and finding an organised playlist of Flash FM or Head Radio. So if there's a song you didn't catch the name of, because let's say you got blown up in a car or whatever, you can easily look through the booklet, find that song you really liked, and maybe fire up LimeWire to try and find it on there. And this kind of approach was commonplace upon pretty much every single Rockstar game up until around GTA 5. GTA Vice City and San Andreas went even further with the tourist pamphlet approach, with the booklets even flat out saying that Vice Cities is a tourist guide. Now while GTA 3 had a bit of meta commentary about itself and many times even worded itself to make Liberty City sound downright nasty and a horrible place to even think of visiting, Vice City was the opposite in this way. It was much more formal, it praised Vice City. You read up on the fantastic weather, the luxury hotels and the buzzing nightlife scene. Even though this is a virtual world in a game, they word it in such a way that make you want to visit Vice City and stay a while. Unlike GTA 3 where it's unclear who wrote the booklet, Vice Cities is even certified by the Vice City Tourism Board. And it gives the immersion that this was written up by the government of Vice City and serves as a bit of a small bridge that connects our real world to that of Grand Theft Auto. And while we can't physically be in these game worlds, we are sort of seeing Vice City through the eyes of Tommy Vercetti. In the story, of course, it's all to do with his failed drug deal after he was sent down there by Sonny Forelli. But, from the player's perspective, you don't have to do the story if you don't want to. You can prat around Vice City, go for a nice stroll on the beach, check out the scenery and whatnot. It's like we are visiting and staying in Vice City in the form of immersion like this. In fact, there's even a section in this called Facts for the Visitor, where it introduces Ken Rosenberg and other game features. For example, the police, it says they even hint that getting into trouble with them can result in a full-blown showdown. And other side activities like being a taxi driver or a pizza boy under the guise of jobs. So earlier on in the video, I did mention about how the Vice City booklet was much more formal than GTA 3's and took the more traditional approach to a tourist pamphlet. What I mean when I say that is it makes even the most dangerous places sound like that it's a place worth visiting during your stay. For example, listen to how they describe Little Havana. The Cuban influence is strong throughout the city but is prevalent in the area that has come to be known as Little Havana. Spanish is the predominant language here and the majority are Cuban exiles. We highly recommend you come visit the neighbourhood, take the time to visit Cafe Rabina. Now of course, when we play through Vice City, we know there's a bit of a gang war going on between the Haitians and the Cubans. But they don't mention it here. They try to make Little Havana sound like a really heavenly place that everybody should come and visit. But in the game, it's dangerous, And this is the kind of attention to detail I'm talking about. It's like how real tourism guides very rarely, if ever, mention risks or no-go areas. So if you decide to read through the San Andreas, GTA Vice City or GTA 3 booklets, you'll notice that all of them have a section dedicated to in-game advertisements, which of course are advertising stuff like websites and services, etc. The best thing is, most of these don't have anything to do with the game at all. For example, in GTA 3, you can't go to restaurants, you can't buy real estate, or get married. It's all there for immersion purposes. And this is quite realistic to how tourist guides work in real life. Everybody has a reason for visiting a new place. Maybe it's to go on holiday, maybe it's to visit a relative, maybe it's for business purposes. But of course, whatever your reason is for visiting these places, when you're going over the tourist pamphlets, not everything is going to appeal to you. For example, somebody visiting on a business trip isn't going to really give a damn about the nightlife, or the beach resort perhaps. They might just be interested in, say, a restaurant if they're staying just for a night or two. Versus, say, a family going on holiday, of course they're going to be more interested in, say, fun activities, or the beach. This is what I mean when I talk about immersion, because obviously we're looking at this through the eyes of ourselves, but in the game of course, barely any of these have anything to do with Claude. Like for example, you're not going to pay attention to the dog food one because Claude doesn't have a dog. And yes, I do know the dog food business does get used in the story, but you know what I mean hopefully. But the extra cherry on top of this is some of you might already remember this, but around this time Rockstar even went to the effort to make these websites real across GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas. Petsovernight.com, that was actually owned by them and could be visited. Of course it has since been shut down since Adobe Flash was killed off a few years ago, so I don't know if it's been archived as I'm making this, I haven't checked, but yeah, the original site is completely gone. But they never had to do this, but they did, not only because it added immersion and world building, but because it helped create a hybrid between the world of Grand Theft Auto and our real world again. And they did this for multiple in-game sites and adverts too. I think Maka from San Andreas had his own site as well. Now, of course, I haven't really mentioned San Andreas in this, and that's because, well, the booklet to San Andreas takes the same approach as Vice City did, but it's definitely bigger to accommodate the three cities. I'd also argue it's a bit more in-depth because it does go over the society a bit more, but yeah, it basically follows the same suit as Vice City near enough. Now, even though GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas did keep this approach, when it came to other Rockstar titles, Rockstar actually went to the effort to try and make something similar for their other games as well. Buddy, for example. Rockstar's booklet for that was a stark contrast from its GTA counterpart. It was being more like a school guide, you know. It's written by Dr. Crabblesnitch rather than a pamphlet advertising Bulworth. You don't get anything about what makes Bulworth a lovely town to come and live in. It's all pretty much an introduction to the classes you'll be attending. You even get an introductory letter from Crabblesnitch himself, which is written like a headmaster who's trying to promote his school, complete with his signature, and most of the booklet does seem to be written from the perspective of Crabblesnitch, heavily hinted by the use of first person language like, I will not tolerate slack attitudes, I have selected the teaching faculty, despite my best efforts. The thing to note with this is, unlike the GTA ones, which tell us about the various areas of the maps, this one doesn't, it only focuses on the academy, because Rockstar wanted the Bully booklet to be looked at through the perspective of a student who's going to go and study at the academy, not taking a holiday to sunny Florida. Now in the case of Bully, you actually got some bonus goodies in this thing too, like you got a comic strip featuring Jimmy's adventures on Halloween, and on the back you got a preview of what Edna's cooking for lunch. Now with Thrasher Skate and Destroy, yes, this game did come out way before GTA 3, and no, the booklets are not like GTA's or Bully's either. It is quite traditional in that sense. The booklet is actually pretty thin because it's split up into multiple languages. But one thing that Rockstar did, which I really do like, is they actually did throw in an entire section dedicated to the history of skateboarding and hip hop. Considering Skate and Destroy was strongly aimed at skateboarders first and foremost with a more realistic, well at the time more realistic approach to the sport, I'd imagine that to quite a few people, this small tidbit was actually a really nice treat. It pays respect to the origins of some legends in the skateboarding and hip hop scene. It goes over how Frank Nasworthy introduced a polyurethane wheel, and now in the hip hop section it mentions how the genre of music greatly complements the sport, and mentions how hip hop culture survived thanks to the streets and is controlled by the youth. Side note, actually, considering this game is over 25 years old now, I'm pretty sure all of the youth from this game's release are now all in your mid 30s or 40s by now, maybe even 50s in some case. Now going back to Grand Theft Auto, despite the GTA booklets carrying that touristy pamphlet kind of style, when Rockstar were developing the Stories games on the PSP, they went for a completely different approach. If you buy Liberty City Stories, and it actually comes with a booklet, you'll see they went for a newspaper style this time. You don't even see GTA or the Rockstar logo anywhere. You just see front page of the Liberty Tree, which of course is an in-game, with a booming headline of Liberty City ranked worst place in America again, with a photo of Tony Cipriani shooting an assault rifle off. Now this part is genius, because if you pay close attention, the reason they went for a newspaper approach was because the GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas booklets were tourist brochures. Because it was like you were visiting these places for the very first time ever, and you didn't know what to expect. But because of GTA's immense popularity, they didn't need to make another tourist guide advertising Liberty City. Most people who were buying Liberty City Stories already had played GTA 3 beforehand, so instead Rockstar went for a different approach to make the booklet more unique and give you a reason to actually read it. Now the best thing about the Liberty City Stories one is they did write small articles for these, and the same goes for the inside, where the newspaper articles continue. They even give you a bit about the in-game politics and what Mayor Roger C. Holt is facing. It's such a great piece of world building for Liberty City. Bonus fact in this booklet as well actually, which Rockstar never had to do this, but they gave a canonical reason as to why bikes aren't in GTA 3. As you know, Liberty City Stories is a prequel to the events of GTA 3, and you can use motorbikes in this game. So what's the reason? Well, the booklet explains that due to protesters, the American Road Safety for Everyone, or ARS as they prefer to be known, claim motorbikes kill more people than old age, and thus got the bikes banned before GTA 3 took place. They never had to do that, but Rockstar really went and gave a canonical reason for motorbikes being absent in GTA 3 and handled it in their traditional humour. I honestly consider this to be some top tier creativity. But saying that though, the newspaper is a bit on the thinner side, which given Liberty City Stories was a side title for the PSP, it kinda makes sense. But I genuinely love the creativity and lore they put into this. They never had to do any of this, but they did. So with GTA Vice City Stories, it returned to a much more fleshed out magazine approach, albeit a miniature version to accommodate the PSP's small stature, but it's presented as one of those absolutely garbage gossip magazines aimed at middle-aged women that spec the most asinine headlines you can imagine. This one features Marty J. Williams being the main headline, claiming aliens stole his brain and drank his booze. And this kind of stuff continues with the typical relationship problems you usually hear inside gossip magazines plastered on them. Like two characters named Piper Dylan Bryce and Castro Coronada, or stories on how some hookers won $250k and blew it in a week. There's an entire story that takes up 2 pages about true crime stories as well. These stories have absolutely nothing to do with the game itself, but like Liberty City news stories articles, they do add a very nice bit of world building. And like the Liberty City stories ones, this one also avoided being another tourist guide because most people into gaming knew exactly what Vice City was, so there was no need to advertise the sunny beaches again, or the nightlife or whatever. Now this part might be a bit of a stretch, but I also like to think that this was done to set the difference between Tommy and Vic. With Tommy, he was going down Vice City for the first time ever, so he would need to read up on what to do in Vice City once the deal was done. While Vic, on the other hand, is implied to have lived in Vice City for quite some time at this point. And of course he's a soldier in training, so Vic would likely be buying magazines to pass the time with during his downtime in the military. Now following Grand Theft Auto 4's release is where things start to go a bit downhill. GTA 4 still had a booklet and Rockstar even referred to it as the Liberty City Guidebook, but it's really on the thinner side versus that of its PS2 era counterparts. And this time, instead of being greeted with a massive welcome to Liberty City again, the first 6 pages are just typical booklet stuff that aren't much different from other games. It's such a downgrade compared to the PS2 era. Even then, the booklet doesn't really have that same immersion from the 3D era. Instead of hiding in-game features under ads for police and local restaurants, they just drop a few short paragraphs. The rest of what we get feels more in line with what we know, but very, and I mean very brief. Like, let's compare GTA 4's description of Star Junction, you know, the parody location of Times Square, to a random neighbourhood of San Fierro in GTA San Andreas. Star Junction just says, where the bright lights of capitalism blink 24 hours a day, a great place to visit if you like advertising. Meanwhile, Colton Heights in San Fierro says, this is one of the most exclusive neighbourhoods in San Fierro. Victorian-style townhouses are perched on hills overlooking the downtown area, and if the view is unobstructed by the characteristic fog, you'll be able to see over into the bay. The world-famous Windy Road is part of the law in this highbrow neighbourhood. The homes are worth millions of dollars, and their contents probably more. If there's a Box Hill truck in sight, take it for a drive and see what opportunities might lie in wait. Do you see the sheer difference in quality in that? And that's pretty much how the rest of GTA 4's guidebook is just one-line descriptions. I mean, thank God that GTA 4 is one of the best GTAs because the guidebook really doesn't do it any justice. And for GTA 5, well, it was the first one to completely ditch the booklets entirely. The GTA 5 booklet is about 4 pages long and has absolutely nothing to do with the in-game world. No ads, it's just mostly generic legal crap. Now, in defense of Rockstar here, they did take a different approach. They did keep the kind of world building stuff on their website under the guise of a local government. You know, you can check out affordable healthcare, the various beaches Los Santos had to offer, the wonderful wildlife, and so on. But this has been phased out entirely. Instead, all of those pages are now dead and redirect you to some shitty GTA Online update page. When GTA 5 was a fresh new release, Rockstar did try to blend the websites and the game together. For example, if you signed into Life Invader on your real PC, which of course is just your Rockstar Social Club account, and liked a few business pages, you get in-game notifications giving you an exclusive deal. I think it was just like 10% off a gun purchase, a free haircut. I think one of them was a free paint job, you know, nothing too big, but just a really tiny in-game bonus. They also tried to make a bridge between the real world and GTA through the now defunct iFruit app, which will let you take orders at Los Santos Customs and clean up Chop's mess, which would benefit Chop's behaviour in the game. Also since killed off. But I can kind of see why Rockstar just stopped bothering with these booklets. The booklets themselves were getting infinitely less and less common as years went on. That's not just GTA, that's just gaming as a whole. Booklets are being phased out entirely in favour of generic advertisements telling you to buy Season Pass, or bundled with DLC codes and so on. Plus, with the internet becoming more and more common, most people didn't even bother looking at booklet when they can just Google their problem. And this also continued with Red Dead Redemption 2. You still got the map, but no sign of a booklet in sight. In the GTA trilogy, you didn't even get a map bundle with this at all. Nor did you get one with the Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster, or GTA 5 on PS5. To be honest, I'm not even sure if GTA 6 is going to have like a bundled in map at this point. But all in all, the effort that Rockstar really put into something as simple as an instruction manual is seriously creative. It did some great world building and showed a lot of love from the team who made these worlds possible. While Rockstar did manage to dominate the gaming market on their own merit, they also did stand out on their own even in the instruction manual department, which is a bit of a testimony to their standard of quality. These booklets alone were crafted with so much care and attention from the team to really immerse you into the worlds they created before you even got a chance to put that disc in, and being honest, it's an era we probably aren't ever going to see again. These kind of booklets will forever remain a staple of PS2 era Rockstar, and unlike the GTA 5 site, these can never be removed. The GTA 5 site, which used to house all information on various businesses and what to do in Los Santos, is gone forever now. While the booklet on the other hand, you can go on eBay right now, buy a copy of GTA San Andreas, it'll probably come bundled with a booklet, and you can just read through that for nostalgia's sake. Speaking of that, this entire video is actually quite nostalgic for me to make. Obviously we all spend more time playing these games than reading the booklet, but I do think most kids growing up in the 90s and early 2000s all have that experience of getting a brand new game and getting your first impressions from that booklet as we wait in excitement to get home. Maybe it's just me, but as I've gotten older I don't really get that excitement from buying a new game anymore. I'm also a PC player, so I don't even need to go out to buy games. I can just buy from my PC, download and watch a few videos in the meantime. But even when I buy physical, I just don't feel much excitement. That kind of childish excitement just subsides as we get older, I guess. Nowadays you form your opinions on a game by whatever social media says and watching gameplay of it. It can be from favourite streamers or YouTubers. People don't really rely on magazine reviews to make people think this game is amazing anymore. But that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching and have a great day. And let me know what you think about these Rockstar booklets down below.